You've been golfing since you were 10,
Yeah.
when your dad, legendary actor Sean Connery, introduced you to the game. Does the story hold any personal parallels?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm a son to my father, and I'm a father to my son. And my son is 19, and he's trying to make his way in the world. He literally just moved into his own apartment, and he's got a full-time job in a recording studio. And I want to impart, my knowledge on him, and he wants me to know that he knows what he's doing, and he understands, and he's got his ideas of how things should look. And I know that I was like that with my father. I mean, the irony is I was acting or trying to act as well. So there was a parallel there. I mean, as in old Tom and young Tommy were both golfers, we were both actors. The difference is in acting, there's much more separation. I mean, they played golf together, and, my dad was doing his things and I was doing mine. And so it was lovely to have him as a sounding board. But also as an artist, you have to make your own decisions. But I absolutely, I mean, there were things that I felt about the dynamics between the father and son that I was able totally to relate to as a son to my father.
It's like, I'm sure that's something we all can relate to.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of why I felt that it was a universal film. Mm-hmm. I think that it could be a gateway to people seeing golf in a different light, but also I hope that, golf's quite a polarizing game. There's people who hate golf and there's people who love golf, and there's very few in between. And I hope anyway, and since I've been talking to people who have been and doing Q&As and everything, there's a certain reluctance if they have no knowledge of golf to this film, and then when they see it, and I'm hoping this is the bridge, they say, well, first of all, actually I found it quite fascinating, and second of all, I was incredibly moved by this story and this journey with this iconic kind of Scottish family, and that is what I hope. I hope that it has a wider bandwidth of viewing public as opposed to just golfers.
So the story is based on a novel by Kevin Cook.
Yes.
How close do you stick to the source material?
Well, I mean, the book, you have many more pages in a book than you have in time in a film.
Over 300, I think.
Yeah. So what I tried to do was galvanize the story in the sense of melding the two worlds, of what they did for their passion, which was golf, and also how they lived their lives, and hopefully stir those two together. And the thing about sport is the thing that makes sport incredibly exciting is the fact that it's live, because when sport's live, anything can happen. Whereas when you reenact something, it's less so. And so I hope that people are invested enough to think, I hope the Morrises win, or if they like Willie Park and Mungo Park, they might say, I hope the Parks win. But the outcome of the game wasn't the driving factor in the scenes. Very often it was what the characters were going through, or what perhaps was happening internally for them. And so, yes, hopefully the golf is interesting, and I sort of took the highlights of games and put them together without putting too much emphasis on endless explanations of, I had the starter saying something like, right, today, it's these guys against these guys, and on you go, so I didn't want people to go, I don't understand golf, so what they're doing here is too difficult for me to comprehend.
That was me, and I understood it perfectly. It all worked perfectly.
Well, that's music to my ears. Thank you. Thank you.
So the film, one of my favorite parts was the little highlights of inventions that are common use today in golf.
Right.
Was that in the novel?
Well, the things, yes. I mean, mostly they were in the novel, and because historically they're known to be, he did play. The Victorians loved to gamble, and so they loved spectacle as well, and they loved to draw people. And obviously, they realized that there was a lot of money to be had for that, because it was always exciting to take someone who was very good at one thing and someone who was very good at another, and then pit them against each other, and then bet on it. So in the film, as you know, they have, Tommy Morris was playing against an archer. And he, in fact, was the one who came up with the idea of a golf quiver, which he saw the archer had his arrows and was able to carry them very easily by himself. And he was thinking, well, the caddies at this time were walking around holding
Stumbling,
seven,
carrying all of them.
they're falling out, trying to pull them apart. And he said, why don't we and he called it initially a golf quiver, and then it became the golf bag. And he says the caddies will love you for it, because it's tough carrying it, especially when it's cold. Because you're playing in Scotland, it gets cold, you're holding them like this, you put it on your back.
You play year round.
Exactly.
So about Scotland, what drew you to Scotland? Because you filmed completely in Scotland, right?
Well, yes. I mean, the story is set there.
Yeah.
In fact, the fight in the bunker is actually the bunker that they really fought in. Yeah, in Musselburgh, and that racetrack is still there. It just seemed. I mean, I wanted an authentic Scottish cast, and it's right there. It looks perfect because it is, in fact, very much where it all took place. And it's very much Scotland's own story, and I love Scotland. As I say, I have a cottage there. I went to boarding school there in the far north, and I also started my professional acting career at Perth Rep up in Scotland, doing theatre. So doing plays up there. And what was beautiful for me was, because of that, I had friends that I hadn't worked with for 35 years. Who were actors up in Scotland who'd started with me in Perth or had been at Perth Rep, and I was able to invite them onto the film to act. And Andy Gray, who plays Caddy, and John Buick, who plays another one of the caddies, and a guy who plays the minister. They were all friends of mine 35 years ago, and they were. It was so lovely to walk onto the set and see those friendly faces.
All right, thank you so much for your
No,
time.
thank you.